How's it going, everybody? Welcome to yet another episode of Sanity Reviews, where I go out of my way to review, well, either video games or video game updates I find particularly interesting, largely because, well, I feel like it, and not a soul can stop me. And today we are covering something very interesting, okay? I at least have this one as well as another review that I have planned. I don't know when the second one is going to be released, but whatever. But today, we are mainly covering a brand new update from Gloomwood, which adds in a major region into the game known as the Subterranean, or as it is actually called within the update name, the Hive. So, for those of you who don't exactly know what Gloomwood is, well, you've probably seen gameplay of it on some of my commentary videos here and there. It's basically a game that's taking place in ancient Victorian times somewhat, kind of like somewhat during the steampunk era, but of course with a few little liberties here and there taken, and you're basically playing as a plague doctor trying to make his way through the goddamn city to defeat the Countess. Now, of course, this is a New Blood title that is currently in early access, so obviously not everything is fully completed yet, and this is, of course, one of the newest regions added into the game where you can finally actually make the first step in actually progressing the main storyline of this particular game. What exactly is the Hive and how do you get to it? Well, funnily enough, it required me to actually try to look it up for myself, largely because I was dumb as hell and couldn't actually think of the fact that apparently the vault door was sealed due to the fact that it had power coursing through it like it was running off of Five Nights at Freddy's logic. Now, of course, I finally figured out how that works, finally got into there, used the safe code to get the crank, and then finally managed to make my way into the Subterranean after nearly soft-locking myself. Thankfully, I was able to find my way back up, and I was able to get back into the actual Hive area itself. Now, the Hive itself seems to be made up of at least two different levels, at least I'm gonna call them that. There's, of course, the main subterranean, power station, and then there's the actual Hive portion. Both areas are absolutely spectacular, let me put it this way. The upper area, the abandoned, subterranean power station, perfectly sells that idea that this has been long fucking abandoned, okay? It is basically decrepit, it's run down, half the doors don't even fucking work, let's put it that way. And overall, it's just genuinely interesting. Now, of course, the overall goal here is not to actually power this station up, unlike some of the other areas within the power station trio that you had to go through in order for you to even get into this particular region. But, funnily enough, you're actually there to collect one of the however many seals that you need in order for you to even make it to the Countess's main area. And, of course, this is the first region that actually adds something like that in. But, of course, as you progress through this, top subterranean level, you'll notice, like, these weird growths that are all over the place. In fact, one of the guards that you end up encountering, that are waiting by the entrance when you first, come across it, basically points out how there's this mysterious growth that's all over it that kind of looks like shit.
It seems someone has sealed the pit to the tunnels below. Fancy contraption. Looks like it needs some sort of special crank.
Probably did it for a good reason. Don't touch it, Cobblehead!
It won't budge anyway. There's some sort of growth. It stinks.
Well, you'll see that across, like, the subterranean power station, but as you go in deeper into the actual nest itself, it changes very drastically. Like, you have the industrial level itself, and then, of course, below that, you have something that looks far older than the city that is currently built on top of it, which is very interesting. Now, of course, since this is called the Hive, you can pretty much expect that a lot of the main enemies here are, of course, going to be pretty fucked up, and the main enemies that exist here are these guys right here, which I think are called Crowmen. There's like two different variants of them, plus like a baby hatchling version that is fucking terrifying to look at, and all of them are genuinely terrifying and dangerous in their own different ways. They will take 2 shotgun blasts to the fucking stomach before they actually go down. That's how powerful these motherfuckers are. Now, of course, you can take the stealth route, like most people normally would, or you can be like me and just try to be the fucking Doomslayer in a Plague Doctor costume and rip and tear until it is done like I did. And of course, since these guys are in fact the Crowmen, they come built in with armor, meaning that, well, one poke from your sword isn't exactly going to take them down at all. I mean, judging by the fact that, again, takes 2 point-blank shotgun blasts before they go down, I think you could take a wild guess as to just how armored these motherfuckers really are. Now, of course, there are, in fact, a few little new treasures that exist here. There's, like, these blood diamonds that you can collect, and, of course, there's also these weird ceremonial urns, which, upon selling all of them, ended up netting me quite the pretty penny, to put it very simply, but we'll get into the main reward that you actually get after you finally manage to make your way out of the nest, which, funnily enough, in order to get out of the nest, it requires, well, the new weapon that you actually get, which is the harpoon gun. The harpoon gun is a very unique little weapon. It is supposedly a steam-powered harpoon gun that also allows you to fire harpoons that have ropes attached to them. Now, wouldn't you believe it, but my dumbass didn't actually pay attention to the tooltip that actually told me that it could do this, meaning that I was stumbling around like a fucking moron, wandering through this hive after I had already gotten the seal and purged it of anything that was still breathing, wondering how the hell I'm supposed to actually get out of here. Sure, I managed to power back on the elevator to get out of there, but I was left at pretty much a dead end, or so I thought. But that's purely because of the fact that I was dumb as hell and didn't actually see the fact that, well, the harpoon gun could fire ropes. And I felt really fucking stupid after I remembered that it could do that. Now, the power of the harpoon gun is actually pretty weak. I think it's probably, slightly weaker than that of the revolver, which is a little stupid in my personal opinion, but whatever, we'll go with it. And obviously this is not meant to be like a mainline weapon or anything along those lines. It takes up 5 inventory slots, unfortunately, and as I just mentioned, it's probably not meant to be used as a mainline weapon, considering the fact that, again, it doesn't really do that much damage, despite the fact that it's a pneumatic-powered fucking harpoon gun. I have no idea how something like that couldn't at least do maybe somewhere in between the damage of a revolver and a point-blank shotgun blast, but whatever, I'm not the developers of Gloomwood, so I'm not really going to tell them how to run their game. Like I mentioned before, it's meant to be a traversal tool, but of course I didn't actually know that because I wasn't paying attention. I just saw shiny new weapon, wanted to test it out, realized that it was pretty weak, and then it just kind of sat in my inventory until I remembered, wait, didn't it say something about me being able to climb ropes using this thing? And then that's how I found it out. Now, in order to actually utilize this rope climbing mechanic that it includes, you of course have to stick the harpoons into a soft material, if you will. So you can't really stick it into like the sides of the concrete walls that are, making up whatever this weird shrine is. You of course have to go up this elevator, which of course alerts pretty much whatever Crowmen are still left in the particular region to hunt you down and tear your ass a new asshole. Finally managed to make your way back up there, you can fire the harpoons into these little beams right here, and that's how you get out. Again, I felt like a moron because I didn't pay attention to that, and once I figured out how to get the hell out of the hive, I was so glad that I did, because as much as I enjoy the environment, it's really easy to get lost, to put it very simply. There are a lot of winding hallways that lead into one another, and of course some of it kind of feels a little bit samey here and there. But overall, the main environment in and of itself really isn't that bad. It is absolutely phenomenal, just like with every other region that is within Gloomwood. Now, of course, that's not the only thing that Gloomwood added in. There's, of course, a few other things that Gloomwood added in, like, for example, I guess, like, some updated sound effects and whatnot, like the metal doors sound really fucking heavy now, which I think is pretty interesting, and just a few other little minor tweaks here and there that kind of change up how the game overall just kind of feels, and overall it's really not too bad. If I were to kind of give this a bit of a ranking here on my Sanity seal of approval, I would give the Gloomwood Hive update a good old-fashioned 4.5 out of 5 stars. The only reason why it's not getting a full 5-star seal of approval on this one is purely because of what I mentioned earlier, okay? Let's of course go through the pros and cons here. The pros of this particular update is that it changes a few little things here and there, so that way it's not just, needing to actually go through the entire game just that way you can only experience one new thing, and that is of course the Hive. The Hive itself, in its 2 different levels, feel absolutely fantastic. The new weapon, despite being pretty weak, is of course pretty useful when you actually remember how in the fuck it's supposed to be used. And on top of that too, the the overall area just feels absolutely fucking terrifying, and I love that. Now, of course, the cons to this one is, of course, as I mentioned before, it's extremely easy to get lost in the Hive. On top of that, too, you have to start up a brand new save, which I guess really isn't that much of a con, considering that's, again, a brand new update that adds in a whole different region, so of course you would need to start up a new save file, but it is kind of annoying to have to go through from beginning all the way to the Hive just so that way you can actually get to experience it. It took a couple days on and off of playing for me to actually get to it, but once I finally did, oh boy was it worth it. But outside of those few little things here, the Hive update is absolutely fantastic. I absolutely love it. If you haven't picked up Gloomwood yet, you definitely should, because it's only about $20 right now, and of course the New Blood Stealth Trilogy is only like $1 more than that. And of course you can get it combined with Dusk and Ultra Kill as well, since it is in fact a New Blood title, so of course you could probably get a discount on both of those games that I also highly recommend. On top of that too, it is just absolutely fantastic. If you're a fan of immersive sim horror games, this game is absolutely fantastic. It is a perfect indie survival immersive horror game that I really cannot recommend enough. Oh yeah, and I also forgot to mention the final reward for you actually managing to get out of the Hive. You, of course, actually finally get an inventory upgrade. Which, I mean, hey, you know what? I can't really fault that, okay? I guess for the current state of the game that it is, as of right now, I'm assuming it's going to be very fucking useful for updates going forward. But yeah, anyways, guys, if you guys enjoyed today's video, please consider leaving a like. That's very well appreciated. Leave a comment down below what you thought about the video, what you want me to talk about next, and also subscribe to the channel if you're new and you want to see more content such as this. Also, go ahead and follow me on Blue Sky, join the Discord server down below, and of course, special thanks to my channel members. Anyways, guys, this has been Sanity, and have yourselves a nice day.